This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. An armed robbery at the Lynden Pindling International Airport leaves a man in police custody this evening. We're told that the incident occurred in the area of the domestic section of the airport this morning sometime after 9 a.m. Police say a male was robbed by a male suspect of a bag containing an undetermined amount of cash. Fortunately, however, the quick response of the officers at the airport police station led to the arrest of that male, and the bag of cash was recovered. Police are searching for 2 other male suspects in connection with this matter. We ought to spend less time paying lip service and do something about what's happening in our society, particularly when it comes to violence against women. This much coming from Minister of State for the Public Service, Pia Glover-Roll, off the heels of the suicide of Carissa Culmer last week, and so many other women who have suffered similar or the same fate in our country.
Deputy right-thinking Bahamians around the country are saying enough is enough. We're fed up with the violence, and rightfully so, not just because of this singular incident, but because of years upon years of suffering and pain enjoyed by women in this nation. As a woman in Parliament, it is my duty to shine the light on this issue and advocate for the rights of women as much as necessary, to drive change and keep the protection of women and their rights at the top of the agenda. We are beyond the point of talking about this issue. Now is the time for action.
That said, she says she's overjoyed to see that the government's about to bring a suite of legislation to Parliament, meeting the country's international human rights obligations, including measures to address gender-based violence and mental health legislation. She says through these reforms, the government will be better able to support women and girls and hopefully save many lives. Meantime, former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram chiming in on the national conversation regarding marital rape and gender equality on Wednesday. He told members of the media that he believes legislative changes to bring about gender equality, including the criminalization of marital rape, will be successful under the Davis-Cooper administration, noting that when he was in office, he went the hard way with 2 failed referenda. Mr. Ingram's comments come after he gave Mr. Davis a book containing his speeches.
Oh no, I have no doubt about that. I think Prime Minister Davis will deliver on that. I think he'll deliver on a couple other things in connection with gender equality. You know, we tried the hard way. I wanted to make an amendment to the laws that couldn't be changed by another parliament. That had to go through another referendum. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't just want to change the law and somebody come along and change it back. That's why I went the hard way. Well, the Bahamas haven't gone the hard way twice. I think Prime Minister Davis will take sensibly the easier way and just do it by legislation. And I think he'll be successful.
The former member of Parliament for North Abaco admitted that he didn't have the support of parliamentary colleagues as it relates to marital rape.
Well, you know, we tabled a bill in the House of Assembly when I was in office for that. And I said publicly, I didn't have the support amongst my colleagues to pass it. Regatta was the minister. And she also spoke about it. And then, of course, the PLP came along, etc. I see him talking about gender equality. We did that in 2002. The public said no. They were all passed in the House of Assembly by the PLP and the FNM. 10 votes taken for the 10 bills passed in the House. But the public said no. And then the PLP did the referendum, etc. So it's not like these things just happened yesterday. You know?
Constitutional referenda were held in 2002 and 2016. Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, shedding some light on the recent budget allocations being announced in the House of Assembly during the mid-year budget debate. Mr. Watson contends that the government is not doing budget cuts in any way that is detrimental to the progress of the Bahamas.
We're not cutting budgets that are significant to the redevelopment of our country. What you will find happening is a reallocation finances and not a definite cut. So what you may find is a $20 million budget cut in a particular ministry. Let's say, for example, I'll give you an example, education. You'll be like, why are we cutting back on education? We're not. We're reallocating funds probably from a different area for a particular task that's needed right now in education. So it's not cutting, it's reallocating and curtailing, cutting the cloth to fit what it is that we're trying to accomplish as an administration right now.
Mr. Watson contends that it's not taking money away from what's important, but rather reallocating and ensuring that the right funds are directed in the right way. The mid-year budget continues to be debated in the lower chamber, with a number of ministers left to contribute. Well, regatta enthusiasts, particularly on the island of Exuma, can look forward to regatta this year after being postponed for more than 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Member of Parliament for the Exuma is also making that announcement in the lower chamber this morning.
Regattas are going to start up again. It's a much welcome development that will help to return a sector of our tourism business that is a popular signature of our family islands. Yep. So National Family Island Regatta will be held in Exuma, April 20th to 23rd. In the beautiful Elizabeth Harbor. Exuma, I want to tell you, happy days. Here again.
The return of regattas was first announced by Prime Minister Philip Davis, the MP for Cat Island, Rumkey and San Salvador, who told his constituents recently to prepare for their annual homecoming. The Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival and regatta would resume this year. This comes as COVID-19 cases continue to trend down and measures to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 have been relaxed. Another 4 COVID-19 deaths reported by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The ministry's latest data in its COVID dashboard for Tuesday, March 15th, indicating the 4 latest victims, all residents of New Providence. Their deaths reported between January 26th and February 19th this year. These deaths include 3 males between the ages of 24 and 86 years old and a 48-year-old female. These unfortunate deaths push the COVID death toll to 777. 3 deaths have been added to the total non-COVID related deaths. 37 deaths remain under investigation. New COVID infections still being confirmed in low single digits. 3 New Providence residents were confirmed to have COVID-19 following 168 RT-PCR tests completed on Tuesday. 162 test results were negative. 3 tests were repeats, active cases now at 82. 9 people are in hospital, 7 moderately ill. 2 in intensive care. There were no recoveries reported on Tuesday. Following a weekend plagued by gun violence and bloodshed, the Royal Bahamas Police Force launches a mobile police station initiative for the inner city, the first of which was launched around 3 p.m. on Wednesday in the area of Thompson Lane, where you may remember seeing 2 separate shootings over the weekend, leading to the deaths of 3 young men in less than 36 hours of each other. Police Press Liaison, Superintendent of Police Audley Peters, and Chief Superintendent Wayman Demerit tells us more.
Last evening, Commissioner Fernando was on one of our talk shows, and he intimated a number of initiatives that he intends to put in place for the purpose of battling crime. Hence, this afternoon we're here on Thompson Lane and placed a mobile police station in an area. This is going to be a 24-hour station with the intention of allaying the fears of the members of the community.
We're going to be here all day, every day. We're going to bring quiet to this community. We're not going to allow just a handful of thugs to just come and put the fear of crime in this community. So we're here today, and we're going to be all over New Providence. We've teamed up with our neighborhood police, our community police officers, as well as officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit and other law enforcement partners to just bring the fear crime down in our community.
Though police have launched this initiative in the Thompson Lane area, officials say they plan to do the same in other inner city communities, with the aim of this initiative being to decrease crime by eliminating opportunity and increasing visibility.
We have a number of these units in place. At the moment, this unit is going to be placed here at Thompson Lane. And if another area warrants one, we will place that unit at that area. But however, we have officers who are out and about on the streets, conducting the various stop and searches. And if you would have drove coming into this community, you would find that a certain number of corridors that are into this community, and those corridors are being tactfully manned with the intention of controlling and monitoring individuals who may be having an interest of coming into these areas. And other areas are facing the same initiatives so that we can respond as soon as possible, as well as we can prevent incidents of crime against the persons from happening.
As for those weekend homicides, Acting Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernandez says police have a number of suspects in custody, and he anticipates being able to successfully bring court charges by Monday. He does, however, note that the investigations into these incidents are still active. He adds that police have significant evidence indicating a connection between 2 or 3 of those homicides. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will visit the Bahamas sometime next week. The visit will be filled with many activities for the couple, showcasing Bahamian culture. Our Tyler Simonat has more in this report.
The Bahamas is ready for the royal visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Prince William and Kate Middleton. Their royal visit is set for March 24th to the 26th as part of a Caribbean tour to mark Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee. During the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing, members of the committee in charge of the visit gave an idea of what their itinerary will look like. Here's Member of Parliament for Seabreeze and Bahamas Ambassador to CARICOM, Leslie Miller-Bryce.
In Abaco, the Duke and Duchess will see for themselves the impact from Hurricane Dorian and engage the Abaconians about the recovery efforts. We want them to appreciate firsthand the impact that climate change is having on our country and the need for carbon-producing countries to support us. In Grand Bahama, they will visit Coral Vita, which won the Duke's inaugural Earthshot Prize, which supports innovative solutions to the climate crisis. At COP26, the Bahamas began the process of projecting itself as a leading voice in efforts to address the impacts of climate change. Coral Vita is an example of what is possible and what is necessary for the protection of our environment and marine ecosystems. In New Providence, the itinerary will highlight the government's priority in addressing the education loss during the pandemic and celebrate our frontline workers in the ongoing fight against COVID-19.
Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Governor General, Jack Thompson, was able to give more details for the royal visit. The Duke and Duchess are set to arrive at the Sir Lyndon Pinling International Airport at approximately 4:25 p.m. on March 24th. They will be received by Governor General Sir Cornelius A. Smith, Acting Chief of Protocol Terry Archer, Cabinet Ministers, and Mrs. Miller-Bryce. There will also be a royal salute.
Following their arrival, they will proceed here to the office of the Prime Minister, where there will be the usual courtesies and exchange of gifts, etc., etc. Following the courtesies here, they will proceed to their place of accommodations, and that will close out the first day. On Friday, the 25th of March, we are truly excited about the visit at the Sybil Strawn Primary School, where our Bahamian children will put on a show like you've never seen before.
The Duke and Duchess will then proceed to the Garden of Remembrance, where they will meet with healthcare providers who are active in the frontline fight against COVID-19. Following this meet and greet, the entire Parliament Square will be transformed into a mecca of Bahamian culture. After a brief break, there will be a mini regatta dubbed the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Regatta on Montague Beach. On March 26th, the Duke and Duchess are expected to visit Abaco before returning to Nassau to leave the country that evening. Now, when it comes to security, both the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and Royal Bahamas Police Force will be involved on all islands visited by the Duke and Duchess. Here's Assistant Commissioner of Police Ken Strawn.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force, along with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, have spent an enormous amount of time preparing its strategies for the execution of security in and around the events for New Providence, Abaco, and Grand Bahama.
ACP Strawn added that road closures are expected during the royal visit. Now, the Office of the Prime Minister was unable to provide the cost for the royal visit. However, Permanent Secretary Thompson confirmed the Bahamas will absorb the cost of the visit, including accommodations and meals for the couple and their staff. Our news team will be on the ground for the coverage of this visit. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Tyler Simonet.
Well, that does it for news this evening. Once again, I'm Leah Cooper, and from all of us here at JCN News, have a wonderful evening, everyone.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.